नमो अरिहन्ताणं नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आयर्याणं नमो वज्जायाणं नमो लोये सव्वसाहुणम्।
At the start of the event, we will like to make the atmosphere purer and more conducive to the discussion which we are going to undertake. So we will try to recite the dhun. देव हमारा श्रेय अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियन संत। देव हमारा श्रेय अरिहंत गुरु हमारा देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियन संत। देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियल संत। देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियल संत। देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियल संत। देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियल संत। देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियल संत। देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियल संत। देव हमारा श्री अरिहंत गुरु हमारा गुणियल संत। मंगलम भगवान मेरु मंगलम गौतमो गणि मंगलम कुंद कुंदार्यो जय धर्मोस्तु मंगलम मंगलम स्थूलभद्राद्या जय धर्मोस्तु मंगलम। Young friends, it's a pleasure to meet you all this evening. With a view to talk about some topics which have been suggested by you and your colleagues. There are many topics which have been given, of which I will have a preliminary presentation on two topics. One is spiritualism and the second one is vision. We will first take the topic of spiritualism. The word spiritualism has two components, spirit and ism. Ism is usually used in the sense of connoting the art and science of a particular subject or object. So spiritualism means the art and science regarding the spirit, means regarding our own true self. We are all spirits. We are all spirits. Eastern thought differs from the Western thoughts in that much. There is no equivalent word for everybody or everybody. In any of the Indian languages, because we are not body, we are the indweller of the body. We dwell in the body, but we are not the body. Like a sword. The sword is in the cover, but the cover and the sword are not the same. On the contrary, they are made up of material which is in contrast with each other. The external cover is made up of wood, and the sword is made up of iron, steel, whatever it is. Spiritualism, the art and science regarding the spirit. It is such a vast subject that more than a month may be required to even introduce it. Nor I can give you a full idea of the whole spiritualism, because I am not that able. Not only that, spiritualism in its essence a matter of self-experience and not a matter only to be talked about or to be understood by speeches or by discourses. So, spiritualism. Why do we talk about it? Why we have taken up the subject? We have taken up the subject because we are all spirits and we want to manifest our spirithood, which is inherent in our spirit. You have a matchstick. There is hidden fire in it, but you have to manifest it. Like that, all knowledge and all the bliss of the universe is potentially present in me and you and all the creatures of the universe. But due to ignorance, but due to several other factors, that inner strength, those true virtues of bliss, knowledge and divine energy, they are all not manifested. You may have heard the famous stanza from Atma Siddhi Shastra. You may recite with me. Sarva Jeeva सद्गुरु आज्ञा जिन दशा निमित्त कारण मान. The English translation is: every soul is potentially divine and is like God, like Siddha. But only if he understands that through the medium of an appropriate preceptor and through the true worship of the jina, that he can attain to that state of divine knowledge and eternal bliss. So the purpose of our understanding the subject of spiritualism is to awaken ourselves and to try to manifest the inner knowledge, the divine knowledge and the true bliss, which are the inherent qualities of the spirit. You might ask how to do that. I think we had a little discussion 2 days ago on that subject. For manifesting that spirithood which is inherent in our spirit, means in ourselves, we have to associate ourselves with such noble souls who have manifested that type of knowledge and bliss. That is association with the noble ones. A spirit of service, so as to be useful to all the creatures of the universe. Studying the main commandments of the scriptures and then meditation, contemplation with an appropriate virtuous life. This I talked in little scriptural terms. I will now like to talk the same in common language, a layman's language. If we want to be spiritual, we should develop synergistically our head, our heart and our hands. A synergistic development of the head, the heart and the hands will take us to a state of spiritual development which will eventually result in a state of equanimity in which is experienced the divine knowledge and the supersensuous bliss. For developing the head, we have to study the scriptures. And studying the scriptures is not like studying any ordinary subject. Just as you need a lecturer, a good teacher, a good professor, a good guide for studying your subject, so also you need an enlightened preceptor to really acquaint yourself with the essence of the scriptural knowledge. So hard study is required for developing the head. Development of the heart. Development of the heart consists in developing virtues. Forgiveness, humility, breadth of vision, a generous outlook for the entire universe, non-dogmatism, and certain higher moral values of life, resulting in a state in which every creature in the universe is looked upon as our true friend. That's the bhavana. The four bhavanas. It recites them, isn't it? Amit Samaya. They are like this. Sau praniya sansar nasan mitra mujhwala thayo sadguna ma anand manu mitra ke vaire hajo dukhiya prati karuna ane dushman prati madhyasthata shubh bhavana prabhu char apamo hridaya ma sthirta shubh bhavana prabhu char apamo hridaya ma sthirta. That is in short the development of the heart, the development of the hand. Keeping oneself engaged in noble and selfless work incessantly. How can we develop the hand? Ever ready to help anyone and everyone. Looking upon him or her as we look upon our own soul. And that we expect a high grade of discipline and industriousness, ever vigilant, ever on guard, always in a position of attention, no laziness, no irregularities. Difficult. That's the development of character, which is a slow process, which takes maybe a few years, maybe a few decades, maybe a few months. So that we come to the end of the development of spiritualism by a synergistic development of the head, the heart and the hand. The questionnaire which has been given to me, I think you will be able to cover the other points which are in that topic. So we will be able to give you a more acceptable knowledge which is more proper in your perspective. That much for spiritualism. The second topic is vision. Here, the vision, I hope it is implied your vision. Your vision of life in its total. Well, basically, I am spiritual, so my vision has to be in consonance with the vision of the great masters, the Tirthankaras, the Acharyas, and the great saints. But they are like mountains, and I am a small particle of the sand when compared with them. But still, qualitatively they are the same. Now coming to the practical aspects of it. The first thing I would like to do in this life and the next life is to reach the perfection of spiritual life. That which I have attained, I would like to enlarge it, rectify it, so that I can reach the state of omniscience and infinite peace. Omniscience and infinite, which is my true nature, which is my true and which is also your true nature of every spirit. Now, for the institution which I am working in, we have got 3 compartments in the institution. One is the spiritual complex. I think some of you came few months ago, about 8 months ago. Somebody met me now. The hall in which we were sitting is designated as Vidya Bhakti Anand Dham, the abode of learning, the abode of devotion, and the abode of bliss. Near that there is Dera, in which Bhagwan, Parshvanath and other lords are there. And then there are residential places for the sisters and the brothers staying over here separately. This is the main part of the spiritual complex. Then there is a residential complex just adjoining that. There may be about 400 people can stay. That is, you can stay, or those who come can stay with the family. And the third one is the educational cultural complex, which has not yet developed in its primary form. The spiritual complex is developed, say, about 80%. The residential complex has developed, say, about 70%. And the new educational cultural complex have developed independently, but its infrastructural and preliminary apparatus have been there in the spiritual complex in the form of library with about 12,000 books in English, Hindi, Gujarati, Sanskrit. Large reading rooms, small cottages for meditation for sisters and brothers separately, wholesome, nourishing food all the year round in the Pujyashree, in the kitchen. Now we want that some students who have taken certain subjects may study their postgraduate degrees in the form of MA, MPhil or PhD. The subjects proposed are: 1 is Jainism, 2 is Indian culture, 3 Sanskrit language, 4th Indian history. These are the main ones. And 5th one is yoga, the science of yoga. So we are working for about 13 hours a day nowadays. We hope that about 4 hours we will devote for the new complex likely to develop, and about 8 or 9 hours for our spiritual activities which are already going on, but now we want to train certain men and women in the subject of Swadhyaya, Bhakti, meditation, yogasana, and also Tirthyatra and conduction of Shiva. This much for the vision of the institution. Some people want to know about the vision of the Jainism in 21st century. I think before I will make comments on it, it will be better for you to ask me what aspects you want to know. Because Jainism in its essence is almost unknown to the present world. Though there are so many scholars and there are so many saints, its essence is very little known even to them, not to ask about the lay public. There are reasons for that we may discuss on. But there are going to be limitations. Not many people can appreciate the essence of Jain religion or religion in general, because it is a matter of subtleties. Religion, in its essence, is a subject beyond the body, beyond the speech, beyond the senses, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect, and beyond even an appropriate understanding of the scriptural texts. So that is what it is. This is regarding the vision. I think with this introduction, we might be able to start the discussion.
It's answered a few questions, and I'm sure it's raised a lot more questions.
Please speak a little slowly, because sometimes your pronunciations are not, we are not acquainted with the British pronunciations.
I said it's answered a few questions, and I'm sure it's raised a few more questions. One question that I had thinking about what's happened is, with regards to spirituality, what kind of changes will people notice as they become more spiritual? What kind of changes will happen in their lives? What kind of changes will happen in their thoughts?
What kind of changes will happen
in their lives, in their thoughts, in their conduct?
in the life of a person who is enlightened?
Well, in the life of someone who's pursuing spirituality, as they pursue spirituality, what kind of changes will they notice to know that they're going along the right path?
In one sentence, I will say first, when self-realization is attained, when God-realization is attained, when true spiritualism is experienced, there is a total inner sublime transformation of the personality of the person concerned. Total inner sublime transformation of the personality of the person concerned. This is abstract way of description. What happens? He remains almost continuously aware of his truly being separate from the world. He becomes what they call drashta, and the world becomes drashya. Like in a drama, somebody becomes Rama, but inside he knows that I am not Rama, I am Maganmay. I will go out and have a smoke. But when I come on the stage, all people get up and say, "Oh, Bhagavan Ram, salutations unto Bhagavan Ram, salutations unto Mahasati Sita," and all that. So, what happens when self-realization is there? The world is perceived as something strange, something with which I have not the relationship of ownership. I have relationship with the world as my duty towards my parents or my family or my village or my school or my cause or my business or my factory or whatever may be the profession of the person concerned is. He always enjoys the inner peace in his life. He is not upset by the oddities in life. the pains and the pleasures of the life do not disturb him in a major way. Equanimity, serenity, balance of mind remains with him always. His life becomes more and more selfless. His life becomes more and more selfless. People ask him, "Sir, what do you want? Sir, what do you want?" I don't want anything. I want that everyone may be happy, everyone may be enlightened, everyone means not man, all the creatures of the universe, all the creatures of the universe. Man is only one creature. Though he is the most evolutionized and he is at the top of the ladder in the evolution of the animal kingdom, he is only one of them. He treats his servants, his drivers, his cooks, his ayabais, his executives, his accountants, his family members, everyone as his friends, as his family members. He doesn't treat others as servants. He doesn't look upon them as trivial ones, because he knows that these people are also as great as me, potentially. And that is why he has universal friendship. He has not enmity with anyone. From his side, the world may keep enmity with him, but he does not keep enmity with the world. He is detached from the worldly objects. Vairagya, Sahaja Vairagya. Because he is a satiety in himself. He is a satiety in himself. And still he is not selfish. He is compassionate. This little contrast-looking personality of a saint or a really enlightened soul is not understandable by the people of the world. The people of the world cannot understand a saint. He who recognizes and truly understands the saint himself becomes the saint. And in general, a highly enlightened soul is usually highly knowledgeable. Is usually highly knowledgeable. There's a lot of logic to make this also understand, but it's highly scriptural. So, I may cite two versions from Srimad Rajchandra. One all of you know, 10th Gatha of Atma Siddhi Shastra. You can recite it. Atma Jnana Samadarshita Vichare Udaya Prayo Apurva Vani Paramashrut Sadguru Lakshanayo. And the second one is in prose. If you want me to recite, I may recite. About 40 seconds. નિરાબાદપણે જેની મનોવૃત્તિ વહ્યા કરે છે, પંચ ઇન્દ્રિયથી વિરક્ત બુદ્ધિના અંકુરો જેને ફૂટ્યા છે, ક્લેશના કારણ જેને નિર્મૂળ કર્યા છે, અનેકાંત દ્રષ્ટિયુક્ત એકાંત દ્રષ્ટિને જે સેવ્યા કરે છે, એકમાત્ર શુદ્ધ વૃત્તિ જ જેની છે તે પ્રતાપી પુરુષ જયવાન હતો. આપણે તેવા થવાનો પ્રયત્ન કરવો જોઈએ. These are some of the classical descriptions of an enlightened soul in the present language. If I say in the scriptural language, I think they are going to be too complex, but they are true. I think we might get satisfied with this. Those who are interested in having this still subtle and intricate definition of an enlightened soul, they are welcome for individual approach.
Thank you for such a thorough answer. If anyone would like to ask a question, please just raise your hand, state your name, and ask your question. I'll come over.
You mentioned earlier as part of the Satyakoba, you have 5 PhDs, and one of them is yoga.
I'm not able to understand.
તમે યોગના બોલા કે PhD એમાં કરાય. How does yoga link to Jain development?
About the postgraduate ones, he said?
No, specifically yoga. How does something which is physical, which is related to your body, help in spiritual development?
There are 4 main ways of spiritual advancement depicted in the mainstream Indian tradition. Those who are highly intellectual or those who are thinking personalities, they follow the path of jnana, that is known as Vijnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. Those who are emotionally oriented, they follow the path of devotion. Those who are quiet-minded, of a quiet nature, they follow the path of Dhyana Yoga. And those who are overactive, they can't think, they follow the path of Anasakta Karma Yoga, the path of selfless service. Now comes your question of how yoga helps in spiritual life. What is yoga? Yoga, the word yoga has come from the original verb dhatu yuj. Yuj yojayati, to unite. Yuj yojayati, to unite. That process which unites our soul with that universal soul, or that which joins the devotee with the Lord, the sadhana with the siddha, all that is known as yoga, the path of the union of the soul with the Lord. Soul means people like us, and Lord means he who has attained to perfection. Now that has been depicted in great detail in Yoga Darshana, the 8 steps which are well known. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. These are the 8 steps of yoga which gradually lead one to a well-regulated life, a well-disciplined life, a well-disciplined and healthy body. And if he is lucky enough to get an enlightened preceptor, he becomes a true yogi. Yogi means he who has established the union of himself with the Lord and enlightened his soul. So, to be practical, 2 things. All of you know about Shavasana. Shavasana or Shavasana. It is pronounced both ways. Shavasana or Shavasana. Sleep in the supine position and relax all the muscles of the body and then make commandments to individual organs. All the muscles of my feet are relaxed. All the muscles of my legs are relaxed. All the muscles of my back are relaxed. All the muscles of my chest are relaxed. All the muscles around my neck and my mandible and my forehead are relaxed. Like that. Along with that suggestion, you also let yourself loose. Let yourself loose. This is a very, very good way of rejuvenating ourselves mentally and physically and help us to increase our efficiency, increase the efficient working of our day-to-day life, maybe from 6 hours to 8 hours, from 8 hours to 10 hours, from 10 hours to 12 hours, from 12 hours to 14 hours, and the great must work for 20 hours a day. Siddha yoga. Work means not do some physical work necessary. And second is asana. Necessary. Asana is defined as a state in which one can remain steady in one asana for a period of 3 hours. To master that asana is very helpful in attaining success in meditation, because the essence of yoga, I think we had that day summarized. Close your eyes and open your inner vision. Close your eyes and open your inner vision. That will lead you to the state of great equanimity known as Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So yoga, step by step, regularizes our senses, our mind, our speech, our body, our muscles, and our spirit, that means our own true self. That should be for a proper There should be under an appropriate precept, especially the last 4 ones. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama we can do as outdoor. Once we come to Dharana, Dhyan and Samadhi, you require some enlightened soul to guide you. So yoga is not only for making the body beautiful and muscular and good looking, but for making our soul full of bliss, full of knowledge, full of dynamism, and full of compassion to make not only ourselves but everyone around ourselves also happy, healthy and wise. That's in short about yoga.
Thank you for that, Pujyashree, and thank you for rubbing. Feel a lot more relaxed now. Rubbing.
Thanks, Robin. My question is, you mentioned the synergy of the mind, heart and hand developing character. How much of your character is down to your karma, and how much of it is a manifestation of the nature of your soul?
I didn't get it. What?
You mentioned synergy of mind.
Somebody else from here, you tell me. What is his question? The development of the head, which I say, the whole description was with a view to a spiritual outlook. When I say development of the head, I didn't mean that you may be very clever in English or grammar or mathematics or computer science or geography or history or zoology. Development of the head means development of samyak jnana. Development of the head means breadth and depth of knowledge which gives you peace of mind and gives peace of mind to others also. It is known in scriptural language as samyak jnana, the enlightened knowledge. That is the development of the head. Know what is basic, fundamental. About the heart, I say it means that's character. If one has forgiveness, if one has humility, if one can keep up celibacy, if one is detached to the worldly objects, if one refrains from sinful activities and addictions, oh, he is a very great man. He has done a lot of job, provided he has also enlightened vision. Provided he has also enlightened vision. Virtuosity is great, but virtuosity should be combined with enlightened knowledge. That is why I have used that word, a synergistic combination of head, heart and hands, not unilateral. And regarding hands, when we say an approach of true friendship and compassion for everyone around us, starting from our family, ending in the whole universe. Jai Jagat. Jai Jagat. So, I think this probably gives an answer to your question, but if you want scriptural way of understanding. He practices non-violence, he practices truth, he practices non-stealing, he practices celibacy, and he limits his possessions. That is kept. But I didn't want to talk in scriptural language. If you want me to speak in scriptural language, I may do that, but that won't be interesting for a common person who is not acquainted with the technical terminology of the scriptures.
I think maybe his question was, how much control do we have over developing ourselves, and how much is it controlled by our past karmas? I think that was his question.
The development of our spiritual life is mainly dependent on our efforts of the present life. There is always a discussion going on regarding कौन मोटू प्रारब्ध के पुरुषार्थ. This is the universal question. कौन मोटू? What is more important? The industriousness or the destiny? When one comes to spiritual development, destiny is less important and industriousness is more important. This has been depicted by all the great men. I may recite 3 starting from now and going in past. You can recite with me, some of you know it. Jo ichho paramarth to karo satya purusharth bhavasthiti adi naam le chedo nahi atma. Then the second one is of Anandaji Maharaj in the Stavar of 24th Tirthankar. वीर जी ने चरणे लागू वीर पढ़ोते मांगू रे मिथ्या मोहत निर्भय भायु जीत नगारू वायु रे. वीर जी ने चरणे लागू वीर पढ़ोते मांगू रे. वीर पढ़ोते आत्म ठाणे जाणू तुम जी वाणी रे. वीर पढ़ोते आत्म ठाणे जाणू तुम जी वाणे रे. ज्ञान विनाणे शक्ति प्रमाणे निज ध्रुव पद पहचाने रे. वीर जी ने चरणे लागू वीर पढ़ोते मांगू रे. आनंद महाराज. Kund Swami says in Samayasa, there are 2 stanzas, 206 and 412. आमाज तो प्रीतिवंत बन आमाज था संतुष्ट ने. आनाची बन तू तृप्त तुझने सुख अहो उत्तम थशे. तू स्थापनीय ने मोक्ष पंथे ध्या अनुभव तेहने. ते माज नित्य विहार कर नहीं विहर पर द्रव्यो विषे. नहीं विहर पर द्रव्यो विषे. Of course, I have taken the quotations from the great masters who were spiritually oriented. There are many great men. All of them we respect, but we especially respect those different, and the conventions and the rituals and the dogmas and the discussions at the back. Anyway, that is the vision of my life. Dogmas are not to be welcome. Until discussions never end. Rituals are different with different people. External kriyas and all those may differ, but we should try to reach its essence. Packing को मत देखो, माल को देखो. Nowadays it is reverse in the world. Everyone is impressed by the packing, but the wise one is not impressed by the packing. He says, what is inside? I want good material. I don't want only good packing. Of course, if both are good, it's welcome. The packing is also good and the material is also good. But I will give preference to the material, not to the packing, because for me the utility is of the material. The packing, do you eat the peppermint with that paper? Huh? You remove that paper and only eat the peppermint or the chocolate or the biscuit or whatever it is. So it is the prasad which is more important in life, and the wise one always works hard in his life with proper understanding and discrimination. Ask a friend who had asked, is he satisfied? Queries answered or not? Because we have not met here for some academic discussion. We want to change our lives. We want to make our life enlightened, great, virtuous, ideal.
Yes, you did answer my question. It was really to do with predestiny and whether predestiny is something that we should give priority to anything else.
I'm proud.
Being basically honest, what you say about which one has priority, destiny or purusha, and I think you have answered his question. Yes, he said you answered his question.
There is no dogmatism even in the answer. Destiny is also important, but when compared for a person who wants to evolve his life, it's Pujyashree which is more important, and the other five, the omniscient Lord has enumerated all of them, which he calls पांच समवाय कारणना समन्वय की कोई पण कार्य થાય છે. When all the five important causes meet, the work is accomplished. But the most important one in improving our life is Purusha. Though we have respect for all other factors also, we accept them because Bhagavan has said that all factors are important, but the most important factor is your zeal, is your enthusiasm, is your tamanna, is your inner liking and aptitude for attaining to the highest, higher than which exists not in the universe, has never existed from time immemorial, does not exist at this moment, and and in time immemorial, infinite to come, there will never be a state higher than spiritual perfection.
Thank you. I'm afraid we've come closer to finishing our session. So I would like to... All right, one more. Anyone for one more question? Otherwise I'll take it.
Sure, no one else wants to ask a question? Tomorrow you will travel on an aeroplane on a long journey to America, and you may end up sitting next to someone who's, say, a football player, someone who doesn't, you may sit next to someone who doesn't know or doesn't think about spirituality in the way we do. If that person were to ask you, and you have 5 to 10 minutes to talk to them, if they were to ask you 2 questions, what does it mean to you to be alive? And the second question is, what is Jainism?
What is?
Jainism.
What is?
Jainism.
Jainism. I think we define that. The definition of a Jain. J stands for justice, A stands for affection universality, I stands for introspection, N stands for nobility. If we have these 4 virtues, we are at least basically Jain. Otherwise Jain is very Jaina. He who has conquered all the likes and the dislikes and the karmas and all that, but that is scripture. So that is the second question. What was the first question, suppose?
The first question is, what does it mean to be alive for you?
What does it mean to be alive for you?
What does it mean?
To be alive.
For me, what do I mean by remaining alive? So long as I am in this body, the people say that I am alive. I am alive forever and ever. I am alive forever and ever. But this will change. It has to change because it is on rental basis. So it has to go. It has changed considerably. It will further change and then this is the alive. Life is a state where one can think, one can know, one can feel pain and pleasure. These are some of the main traits of life. They have been defined Samay Sarnat. Samata, Ramata, Uradhata, Gnayakata, Sukhbhat, Vedakata, Chaitanyata, E Sab Jeeva Vilas. Samata, Ramata, Uradhata, Gnayakata, Sukhbhat, Vedakata, Chaitanyata, E Sab Jeeva Vilas. These are all the traits of a soul. That is myself, that is also yourself. Whether we accept ourselves or not is not material. Those who don't accept the soul are also souls. Those who accept souls are also souls. Suppose all of us recite loudly that this is gold, this is gold. Everyone says this is gold. Will it become gold? It won't become. Dharma vastu svabhava. So that is as far as we can go. Times are not favorable for spiritual progress and all that, but still one should always aspire for eternal truth, because our nature is truth. Satyam eva atma. Buddha Bhagavan always used to recite the conclude it. One of our principals over there comes to our institution twice a year or so. He makes a good salutation to the eternal truth. I think I will speak that 2 words are there. I speak, then you repeat it. Satyam Vande, Satyam Vande, Satyam Vande, Satyam Vande, Satyam Vande, Satyam Vande. I salute to the eternal truth. I salute to the eternal truth. I salute to the eternal truth. Oh.
Thank you. That was brilliant. I'd still like to take the opportunity to ask the one final question, which is, when are you returning to the UK?
UK?
When are you coming back?
The end of coming back. And
Next year?
God willing,
Hope to see you then.
we will like you to come to India, stay few days at Goa, with prior notice, of course, so that we are ready to receive you, to be with you in time, in facilities, in imparting knowledge, in exchanging views, and in cooperating every way we can, so that there is a permanent, true, selfless friendship among all of us, which is the basis of Bhagwan's religion, is universal love, but special love for those who wish to realize the truth, who wish to realize the truth and make their life happy and prosperous in every way. So, let us see what happens.